Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever had trouble finding the right underwear? Now listen, I'm talking about underwear that's not sticking to your skin, that's not going to leave chafing, where your pieces actually fit where they're meant to go. Now look, I've got the perfect solution. Sheath underwear. The most comfortable underwear I've ever worn in my entire life. You have to try it. It starts with their dual pouch system, a concept that was developed by their company's founder, Robert Patton, after he served a summer in Iraq. It's super hot there, so you know comfort's important. Once you try these things, you'll never go back to normal underwear. Promise you this. Use the promo code SCHMO to get 20% off at checkout, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The dual pouch system, it's revolutionary. You're not going to be disappointed. Check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to the Schmozone Quickies. Our guest today needs no introduction. He's the welterweight champion of the world. He's the Ultimate Fighter Season 21 winner, Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be on the Quickies.
The Quickies. I know we had to switch it up. It's not long enough to be a podcast, but quick enough to be a Quickies. I'll get started, man. Big fight, February 13th, headlining UFC 258 against your old training partner, Gilbert Burns. This is the third time this thing's getting started off, getting booked. Man, how's the mindset right now? We're a couple weeks away.
Mindset is good. It's always easier when, I feel like I've done this before. I've prepared for this. I've been through just the mental battle that it takes to go through a training camp, preparing for somebody. So it makes this one a little easier, but the mindset is good. I've been through it before, and I feel like I'm really prepared and ready to just get it over with.
On a lighter note, the Nigerian Nightmare, that original nickname, you go back to Christian Okoye. I know there's some others, but he played some football, the Kansas City Chiefs fullback. When did he officially give you the permission to become the Nigerian Nightmare?
Well, I mean, that's just kind of one of those things. That nickname is not necessarily like, oh, this guy owns it and has to give it to that guy. That nickname just symbolized excellence in Nigerian athletes worldwide who are excelling in their respective fields. And Christian Okoye was that guy when it came to American football. And he was one of the ones that really, here in America really blew that name up. We can't forget, kind of similar around, that time, Samuel Peters was a heavyweight, WBC heavyweight champion of the world in boxing. He was a Nigerian Nightmare as well. So, I've seen it and I've recognized those guys. And I recognized they were the ones that kind of put it out there on the map here in our respective country in America. So that's why of course, it was important for me to pay homage to those guys and really let them know that I'm going to be taking on that torch of carrying that name on, in the future. And
well, you're doing.
Both were at my fight, to win that belt for sure.
I remember that. That's why I wanted to say those names.
Yeah. And you represent that nickname very well. Speaking of excellence, like you mentioned, 16 fight win streak in your pro MMA career, undefeated in the UFC. And looking at your resume, I mean, you've had some huge wins over some very tough guys. So what would you say or attribute to your success at such a high level? And like I said, to be undefeated in the UFC and to continue to have these impressive wins?
I would say, I know a lot of people kind of knock on the fact that they're saying, oh, well, you need to fight 4 times a year, or this and that, just because if they want that for their entertainment. But they don't realize what it takes to be able to just walk in there. Like, I literally obliterate my body in order to make sure that I'm prepared for any and everything that anyone could ever throw at me by the time I step into that octagon. So, of course, when you do that to your body repeatedly over and over and over, you're going to sustain some bumps and bruises. But that's just goes to show how hard I'm willing to work in order to be able to step in there and achieve excellence, and which is why I've been able to do that.
So a couple of weeks ago, we had Gilbert on these Quickies. He predicts he'd be the first one to finish you right here in the UFC. It's never been done before. He's been your training partner. You guys have sparred over 100 times together. He knows you, you know him. But do you feel like you have an advantage going to Colorado, changing camps and knowing kind of the Henri Hooft, the Sanford MMA, the training partners and what he has? Do you think you have an advantage over him for having a different look at different opponents and being his former training partner?
It doesn't matter. Even if I was training there, they know what it is. I don't have to speak on that. He has to say that. He's challenging, so he has to say whatever he needs to say in order to get himself up to be able to think he can compete or he can perform. He has to say that. But I'm no stranger to this. This ain't my first rodeo. Like, what did the last guy say? He said he was going to baptize me. What did the guy before that say? He said he was going to leave me out on a stretcher. What did the guy before that say? He said he would dominate me in every way, shape, form, or fashion when it came to the sport. And what happened? So I'm not, this is nothing new for me. I like when guys go out there and say what they need to say in order to get themselves up for the fight.
So this fight's already been fought before. Is it safe to say you're pretty damn confident heading into this based off the results that's happened inside the gym?
What do you think?
Well, fair enough, man. We're just trying to get a sense here. You seem like you're extremely confident, rightfully so. The way you win, the way you've gone through this division, you've beaten some heavy hitters, and looking at who's climbing the rankings too. If you even look at the people that are fighting for the belt, we're still waiting for the Jorge Masvidal, Colby Covington fight to happen. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they're waiting for the Ultimate Fighter. Maybe you know something. We're waiting on that. And then there's Leon Edwards, who you've beaten already, fighting Khamzat Chimaev. Of those matchups, which pair of winners do you think would be more deserving to fight you? Or maybe it's Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, and rightfully so. Let's give credit where credit is due. Gilbert has changed a lot. He's truly believed in himself now. And, I would be naive if I wasn't respectful of that, if I didn't see that, which I definitely do. So I know he's improved a lot, and, he's bringing, something a little different to the table. But, everyone knows what I possess. Everyone knows just the power that I have in whatever I do, especially in my mind. So, I know what I'm going to bring to the table February 13th. But to answer your question, I don't know. I mean, it's up to these guys. It's not up to me. I'm the king of the mountain. I'm sitting up there in my nice, pretty house with my shiny belts in it. And, and I'm waiting for these guys to separate themselves from the pack and let me know that, hey, I deserve for you to look at me and give me that shot. So, whoever goes out there and makes the most noise is going to be likely the one that I will give that shot to.
What has your experience been like working with Trevor Wittman and compared to working with Henri Hooft?
What is what? Excuse me, I didn't get that.
Like the biggest difference working with Trevor Wittman compared to working with Henri Hooft? Like, what's your experience been like?
Yeah, they're both good coaches, both great, good coaches and great in what they do. I just it all based on me and how I want to work, like that worked for me. The Henri Hooft, that worked for me for years, obviously, for numerous amounts of years, which, being under that system and learning from all the guys that were in that room, a lot went into, helping me develop into who I am and who I was. And so, now I just felt like I needed a little bit more specialized attention. I needed someone to be able to watch my mistakes and let me know that I'm making the same mistakes, as opposed to, having 40, 50 guys to worry about them all making mistakes, because it makes it really, really tough for you to mentally hone in and help someone really, build and change and clean up all their areas that they need to work on. And so, I have that with Trevor, and I like that. I like, my coach being able to watch my film and watch my sparring and watch my trainings and say, okay, you're doing this wrong or this wrong, or you did this really, really well. Let's keep working on that. So that's kind of the changes, but they're both, good coaches in their respective fields and how they work.
What did you make of your teammate Michael Chandler's performance this past weekend? Did you see that coming against Dan Hooker?
Yes, because he maximized the opportunity. That's the best that you can ask for, and he went out there. He did what he was supposed to do. That you talk about a way to make an introduction to the UFC. When you come from the other organizations, and people are kind of looking at you like, man, you can't compete here, you can't do this here, and then you come out and you go out there and put an exclamation on it like that. He maximized that opportunity to the fullest, and I'm very, very happy for him.
Did you watch the fights with Justin Gaethje?
Which fights with Justin Gaethje?
The past fights, the past weekend, the McGregor fight card, 257. Were you watching the fights with him?
Yeah. I was watching the fights with Justin Gaethje. Yeah, and it's that was interesting.
So it leads to two questions I have right then and there. One with Michael Chandler. Does he think Michael Chandler would be a worthy opponent of him? Because I assume he doesn't think he's worthy of fighting for a title right away against Dustin Poirier.
No, absolutely. The one thing about Justin is Justin doesn't sleep on anybody. That's what I like about him. So he's not like, oh, this guy's not worthy to step in here with me. He welcomes that. And that's one thing that's great about Justin Gaethje. So he would gladly welcome that fight. But it makes sense. I mean, it's hard to just skip the number one guy that had just fought for the title and fight right away. So I mean, I think that's an amazing fight. I think that's an intriguing fight. And I mean, my mind is blown. I think everybody want to see that fight. I mean, if you just look at the history and how these guys kind of are intertwined with their opponent, Justin Gaethje fought. You look at his wars with Eddie Alvarez. Look at his wars with Dustin Poirier, and then you look at Michael Chandler's war with Eddie Alvarez, and now you have Michael Chandler in the UFC. Take my money right now. Take it.
So who's your prediction? You work with both of these guys. You know them well. If that fight happens, who wins?
I just want to see. I just want to be entertained. That's one of those ones where I get to enjoy being a fan of the sport and just be entertained by these two warriors when they step in there.
Well, what did you think of the main event and Dustin's performance and win over Conor?
It was great. I mean, it was it's very tough for Conor to be out for so long, and just kind of trying to just jump back in there and think that you could just kind of run through everybody and just do the things that that got you there, the things that made you who you were. It's tough to do because when you're not very, very active, and not just in combat in the fight, but actually in training as well. It's kind of difficult for you to feel that timing, for you to gauge what's going on and certain things of that nature. So I think that was kind of one of those things to where Conor was boxing and briefly forgot that this was a mixed martial arts fight because Dustin started kicking. And then Conor tried to, played a little mind games as well. Started threw a high kick that actually landed the little spin kick. So, I think those were moments that he kind of snapped back like, oh shit, I can kick, but by that point, your leg had already been chewed up for a little bit.
So go back to the moment that Conor gets knocked out by Dustin. You look over at Justin. What's his immediate reaction?
Justin, actually, he walked up the stairs. And I think maybe at one point I heard him say, fuck. Because that's a fight that he wanted, and that's a fight that rightfully so he's deserved. He's a competitor. And of course he wanted to compete against that man. And, seeing that happen, I think it kind of poked at him a little bit.
All right, so be honest, when this camera turned on, I was expecting you to wear your yellow shades because I know you rock those. I wasn't wearing my yellow shades. Was it kind of like a weird feeling vibe when we first started this thing?
No, I mean, when I'm in camp, I'm gritty, I'm grimy right now, you know, and going through camp. So, you know, you don't see the fly, you know, you don't see the fly, young, fresh, and flashy guy right now. You know, you only see that fight night or really, really close to fight night. So, you know, right now I'm still grinding away at camp and preparing for these fights. So, you know, you see the thermals. That's what you see right now.
Definitely. Well, we totally appreciate your time. February 13th here in Las Vegas. It all goes down. You're defending your welterweight strap. Do you have any final thoughts or questions you want to leave with Kamaru?
Well, I was going to ask you, how's your daughter doing?
She is amazing.
Yeah.
It's always tough. That's always a tough one for me, because if I'm not there on a daily basis to be able to gauge that and see what's going on, you know, it's tough to be able to assess. But you know, obviously, when I talk to her every day, she's gonna let me know that she's good. But you know, I can't wait to get back home.
Yeah. I love every time you post like with her, they're so great. So
Yeah, she's and those are her ideas, by the way. You know, she's like, let's do a video. I mean, I don't know what it is with this generation of just internet kids. You know, she's like, can we make a video for my YouTube channel? And I'm like, okay, sure, we can make a video. But yeah, those are all her ideas, and I just go along with them.
We appreciate you, champ. We'll stay tuned for more of those videos. We'll have to do it in person when we see you soon.
All right, thank you guys.
Appreciate the Schmozone Quickies, the champ, the one and only Kamaru Usman.